Hey guys, welcome to the Save Continue podcast, where we get together and talk about video games and video game related stuff. I'm Shanae Howard. With me, as always, is Tommy Shelby
Hello.
and Ryan Robinson.
Hi, it's me, Sleepy Peepee.
So, guys, how have y'all been? How was your Halloween? You play any spooky games?
Halloween was good. Just passed out candy with my family. It was nice.
Yeah, that sounds nice. I watched Tales from the Crypt. That was a
Did
good
you?
time. Yeah, I watched
Did
like
you?
3 or 4 episodes of Tales from the Crypt, and that was pretty fun.
Did Did either of you play any spooky games or any games where they did like a Halloween themed thing?
Not
Like,
on Halloween, but I've been playing a newer survival horror game called Signalis, and it's pretty fucking cool. Like it's like old Resident Evil and
I like
old
that.
Silent Hill.
I like that.
It's got a really unique like pixel art style, and it is fixed camera, but like it's not always fixed camera, right? Like sometimes, most of the time it is, but then sometimes it changes to like first person. Uh, it's fucking crazy, man. It's really good. Like I just feel like most survival horror games nowadays are not really what that genre started as. Like
Yeah.
they've moved so far away from it that it should be called something else now.
Sure.
But yeah, this is like very old school survival horror. It's really good.
it's-
And it's on, I think, just about everything. And then, oddly enough, been playing Mass Effect.
Cool.
Oh,
I feel like
nice.
we were talking about. Were we talking about that recently? I don't know.
Yeah, I brought it up that I had the Legendary Edition, and that I was considering starting it.
Yeah.
I started the first one. I'm like 7 hours in. I like it a lot so far. I like it a lot. You know, you were telling me that you felt like it hadn't. No, I mean not more than like an hour. You know.
Oh,
And Ryan, you were telling me that you had felt that the first one had not aged so gracefully. I think I disagree. I feel like it's aged pretty well. There are some things about it that feel like not great, right? Like just kind of finding your way. It's easy to get lost.
Mm-hmm.
But like other than that, I feel like it's aged fine.
I guess
I'm having a lot of fun with it.
I'm used to the modern comforts of video games made in 2019. I guess that's just me.
Like what?
what's 2022? Dude?
I'm I think that as and I actually think this is a problem that has gotten worse as time has gone on. But the games that I play more recently are a lot more heavy-handed about telling me how to get from place to place in a very like overt kind of way.
Right.
And while a lot of the environments in Mass Effect are pretty linear, I do find myself getting turned around a lot, especially in the Citadel.
Yeah, like I said, I was getting lost until I realized, like, if you just go to your quest log, it'll tell you exactly where it wants you to go.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
There's no arrow pointing you in that direction, but I kind of prefer there not be. You know.
Sure.
Also, like, I don't know. For me, like franchises that have like multiple games,
Yeah.
I normally will feel like the first one is more dated at like, since I've played the other ones. So I have like
Yeah.
comparative like changes like in my mind, even if I'm not consciously thinking about it. So that might also be like a factor in it feeling like it didn't
See,
change as well.
and I get where you're coming from, Sinead, but like on that note, knowing what I know is taken out of Mass Effect as the series goes on, my assumption is that I like the first one the best. But we'll see. We'll see.
I do think that I haven't played a whole lot of 3. I played like maybe an hour of 3.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that it very much feels like it becomes more of a shooter as that franchise goes on.
Right. And I mean, even in 2, right? Like there's a lot stripped away there as far as like equipment and skills and all that, you know?
Yeah.
Having not played 2, this
Sure.
is just what I've been told,
But, I mean,
you know?
I would say that's accurate.
But yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with it so far. I don't know if I'll stick with it or not, but I mean, I've already dedicated like 7 hours to the thing,
Yeah.
and from what I hear, the first one's only like maybe 20 or so hours long. So
I'm curious, are you being a bad boy or are you being a good boy?
So I had intended on starting the game just answering as I would answer,
Sure.
but from what I am told, you benefit greatly from going hard one way or the other.
Yeah.
So I'm being good.
Yeah.
I mean that's true.
Yeah.
But that's also true of a lot of like
Just like
align
old
I
games
think
in general.
games that have
Yeah.
like
Right.
alignments in that way. Like I don't know. I do feel like with like Knights of the Old Republic that specifically the first one because I have a lot more hazy memories of the second one because I still haven't played it yet.
Yeah.
But
Well, then you should have no memories of it.
I wasn't going to say anything.
No, I mean, yeah,
But,
you're right for sure, Sinead. I mean, even stuff like Fable, right? Like, or Infamous, right? Like,
Yeah.
it typically that's the way it is.
Well,
but like,
and Infamous, the badder you are, the dirtier your clothes are.
yeah, and I don't need to like, I don't need to have the game let me like, be gray, but like it's fine. It's
Yeah.
fine.
I was gonna say
Most of the good answers are what I would naturally pick anyway.
Yeah.
You
I was
know.
gonna say that the first like KOTOR, like even though I do remember it being like like in my head like significantly better to go one way, like
Yeah.
after playing it and looking at the stuff, like honestly, it seems like like it seems better to definitely mix it more
Yeah.
because and like also like it's not like as hard set as like other things that I remember.
And I've thought
But
about going back to KOTOR, but like I've never played much Mass Effect, and
No,
people love these games. So I was like,
You
oh,
should.
let's see.
uh,
So I'm playing those. Only other thing I've been playing, which I guess is kind of Halloweeny, is this game called Forgive Me, Father, which is really pretty fucking sick. It's a throwback first-person shooter, but like, what's interesting is I've been playing a lot of these shooters over the past couple of years now, and like most of them try to mimic the look, right? Like they try to look like they were made in the late 90s, early 2000s,
Yeah.
to varying degrees of success. Forgive Me, Father, like just tries to look like a comic book. So it's kind of like you're playing Comic Zone first-person shooter, Like it works pretty well.
Yeah.
The enemy variety is really cool. The weapon variety is really cool. You got like zombies, right? And they'll be like carrying a severed head. So you shoot their head off, and then they put that head where the other head was. Like stupid shit like that.
That's pretty cool.
But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I like it a lot, and that's it really.
I looked up Signalis when you were talking about it, and
Yeah.
I wishlisted it because that looks really cool.
It's very good so far.
And I looked at this Forgive Me, Father right now.
Yeah.
And I like the art style. It's really neat.
Yeah.
I'll check out a trailer for that.
It does a lot of like the comic book onomatopoeia crap and all that,
Oh, I love
like,
that stuff. That's what I loved about 13.
Yeah, sure. It looks more like a comic than 13,
Okay.
and of course it would, right? Like 13's a very old game.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Mm.
Very fast paced.
Oh, I love those. I'm definitely like more into those like lately. So all I'm playing is live service games right now, and all live service games are doing Halloween stuff right now. So, so I'm still playing Destiny 2. But the group of friends that I play with, we're finally starting to like focus on a specific goal right now. So that's been a lot of fun. Getting ready for that, and the Halloween event is finally coming in. See, I always feel like with every time a game does like a themed event for a holiday, I always feel like it goes on a little bit too long. I always just feel like it's a little bit too long. And like I get like there's some allowance there to like give people like if you haven't had time to play, like they'll give you a little bit more time to like do like the
Well, and also Also, the work that goes into those events, you know.
Yeah, it's a lot, right? But so I think it's especially annoying when like the Halloween stuff has like music that goes along with it that just fucking loops, and it's just too much.
Yeah.
That just reminds me of the fucking Krampus Christmas
God.
for Killing Floor 2. How much you hated the fucking music.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm pretty much done with the Halloween event in Destiny 2. It was fun, but like I'm ready for the hub area to go back to the non-Halloween version.
Sure.
And then I've been playing Final Fantasy 14 with Kaylee. Still having a lot of fun with that. They're doing a Halloween event too, except it's Final Fantasy 14, so everybody's like a little bit more horny about it.
Are you? Have you added Verto as a friend? Because Verto plays it nonstop. We're gonna go to a Final Fantasy convention because of this game.
Well, I don't even know what server Birdo's playing on. So
Oh, that's true. I forgot that's how MMOs work for a second.
yeah. Well, Square had opened up a new data center here in the US, so they were incentivizing people to populate it by saying, "Hey, you come here and level up a character to 30 and we'll give you 1,000,000 gil straight up. And also we'll boost you up to we'll boost your XP times 2 for like 90 days or some shit." So I did that and I got 1,000,000 gil, and then Kaylee had like a shitload of money that she forgot about, so she put money down on a Final Fantasy house. So that's where we're at right now, we're buying real
Now
estate.
we're homeowners.
Because like, look, it's not possible to do it in the real life, so I got to do it in Eorzea. So that's what we're at right now. And I think that's really basically. I've been like kind of like playing like other things here and there, like kind of like giving the dibble and dabble. Like I got friends who are trying to get me on that new Ghostbusters game, Spirits Unleashed. I don't know. It's hard to like kind of devote my attention to like much else outside of those two games right now. But that's basically what I've been playing, I think. Yes, that's basically. Oh wait, no. I also played this arcade beat 'em up from back when I was a kid called Vendetta. I finally beat it for the first time the other night.
Ryan is proud.
That's because they give you infinite quarters when you play it at home. So I kept putting in virtual quarters to beat the game. The game is hard.
Hate it.
Yeah, but
I don't remember if this is like fucking 4 or 5 years ago. My son's playing like a console version. I don't know, remember if it was Simpsons or Turtles in Time or what it was, but it was one of those. And like he gets through it, and I'm like, okay, now you got to try to do it on like $2 or less.
That's the challenge, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I could do it. Like that game, like I was like, well, there's a couple of things that
what if you had a squad with you?
Well, maybe
that definitely make it easier.
That would make it easier, but here's the thing: is that like, so I guess like with any action game lately, I find myself like trying to like, I find myself mashing buttons a lot, like in a way that like I'm thinking I'm doing something by like stringing combos together, even if I'm playing an old ass game that doesn't even have combos. And on the console version of this game, Vendetta, I don't know if I said the name. Like the triangle button is the quarters button. I kept accidentally like pressing the quarters button, and like I gave myself like 15 quarters like in like a minute. But like I needed all of them because I'm bad at the game.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten any better at the game in 30 years.
But you beat it.
Yeah, I did. So
so in Fire Emblem 3 Hopes, you swap between the characters that you can control by pressing up.
Mm-hmm.
So I was playing Halo with Sean and friend Jordan, and I kept pressing up in Halo, which like tags the thing that the place that you're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to switch my gun out for another one. So every time I revived, it was just bum 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 like notifications. I'm like, God damn it! No, it's not the same buttons. Yeah.
You didn't think it was going to change you to another character? Like I want to be Cortana now or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm done. This character's losing.
Yeah.
I don't think it's because of me controlling it. So I'm gonna play a different one. That guy has a way better ratio. I'm gonna be that.
That's actually not a bad idea for a game. Like I'm losing, so I'm gonna be this guy now. That sounds pretty cool, actually. Mind Jack.
Rogue Legacy.
Yeah, me, you. So
Well, that's basically Rogue Legacy, you know.
well, no, well, in
You're losing, and then you just hear somebody else.
well, no, because like in Rogue Legacy, you gotta lose to be the other person, right?
Right.
I want to be another person before I lose, and now I'm winning again.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, not necessarily. I mean, no, it's video game related. So I went to a Renfest this weekend, and normally we don't go on this week, or if it's like a new week. But this week, the week that we went is for the Texas one is the Heroes and Villains one, which lends itself to a lot of like different stuff. A lot of people went like Marvel characters or like comic book characters in general, but they're like, and we normally see a lot of like video game and anime characters there, but there was so much more than I usually see.
At a Renaissance fair.
Yeah, and it's like, and it's kind of disappointing because like I would like if you're gonna dress up, I would like I just think it would be more fun to be like better themed or like do something Renaissance-y with it.
Yeah.
Like me and Berto, like every year we go, we buy like an additional piece for a medieval Sith and a medieval Jedi costume.
Oh, so you guys are fucking around too, huh?
Yeah, you're part of the problem.
Yeah, you're totally
Like,
part of the problem.
But like this is not like just buying like from Amazon like an Ezio costume. It is like pieces there, so
But it's Star Wars.
Yeah.
you know what? I that's what I'm saying. Like, but we didn't do that this year because I didn't feel like getting out the piece for the lightsabers, and also I need to get batteries for it. It was gonna be a whole big thing. Anyways, but. And I get it. Like if you don't have a lot of money, or like say if you put a lot of time and effort into your like video game costume,
Yeah.
maybe you don't go to that many anime or video game conventions. Well, even in like anime conventions, like it's not really
Yeah.
the theme.
Yeah, but that's not what it
Like-
is, though.
Yeah, but I do get wanting to be able to wear it more times, and this is like a more acceptable time than like jury duty.
Is it?
But kind of,
That would
yeah.
be
So, Shanae, because here you're expected to dress in a certain way of a certain time period.
Yeah.
You know, jury duty, you dress however the fuck you want.
I've seen some.
You know?
I've seen some sketchy shit at jury duty. So I just feel
Yeah.
like I get wanting to get your money's worth out of your costume that you bought. That makes sense. But like there are a couple of things here.
At what
Walking
expense,
around.
though? You know.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a
that's-
little disappointing walking around seeing like there's like a whole troop of people that are like Final Fantasy 14 characters.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
There's like a bunch of Elden Ring characters.
Oh my god.
So many. Joker from Persona and
I thought you were going to say Joker from The Dark Knight.
well, no,
That's
because
what I
it
thought,
was
too.
Heroes and Villains week, so that would have been thematically appropriate.
Yeah.
I still don't like it. Like I so many fucking like so many Harley Quinns. I don't like it. It's
Were
just,
any of them at least like
No.
okay.
no. Whatever your question is, no. Did any of them look good? No. Did any of them were any of them Renaissance-y? No.
Tell them.
Did any of them
That's like
fit in their costume? No.
Whoa, body
Uh,
shaming. Go on.
It's, wear clothes that fit you. Like I don't know what else to say.
Shanae's been saying that for years to people.
That is true. She's been like saying it to
Because especially when I see you looking uncomfortable, like
Yeah.
like I know you're 4 hours in, I know you're sweaty, and you're like just pulling all your shit. Be comfortable because that's way more attractive. Or wear
Pulling
stuff
all
that
your
fits you because that's more attractive than it's something that looks like a child and on a grown woman.
Yeah, well,
Um, but like, yeah. Anyways, I just want it's video game related, but also it's a grievance. Like I at least try to like blend it in a little bit more with the
yeah, don't go as RoboCop.
Well, I think that like, look, I get wanting to get your money's worth out of the costume they bought. That makes total sense, right?
yeah.
But like, don't do it at the expense of someone else's experience at their Renaissance fair. Like, if I bought a badass RoboCop costume, like I'd want to show it off. but I wouldn't do it at Renaissance Fair.
You know what this reminds me of, Ryan?
What?
Like many years ago, whenever you were playing the Witcher series,
Hello, Witcher.
we talked about like if there was a new Witcher crossover game where like you're walking around as Geralt and like the Terminator sphere just appears and Naked Arnold's there. Or it's like Terminator cross Witcher, like
That'd be so
that'd be
fucking
great.
cool because RoboCop versus
Yeah.
Terminator killed it. Let's do Witcher versus Terminator.
Yeah, it'd just be interesting to see the Terminator in that setting.
Yeah, Geralt would fucking lose, by the way.
Oh
So
yeah,
this is the first Renaissance Fair because we normally go every year, but then the pandemic happened
Yeah.
and all that. So this is the first year we've gone to the Renaissance Fair since the Witcher TV show has come out,
Mhm.
and there was so many jank ass Geralts.
And
That's
I would
awesome.
love to have seen
That's
those.
awesome.
Because I feel like the funniest thing about a janky Geralt is always going to be the wig.
the hair.
100%. No.
Yeah.
So like, I wish I had a cap nearby to show. So like, they would have the wig starting like back here, and
Yeah.
all of them had dark hair that I saw.
Yeah.
And so like their sideburns and like their front hair would just be showing, and they wouldn't try to like blend it or anything like that. Like no,
It's
I'm
hot,
just like
dude.
pull it forward. Wear a cap. Like if you're
Yeah.
gonna wear this like wig and like try and be the sexy guy, because that's all of them were trying to do. Like one of them had his shirt unbuttoned all the way
Cool.
down. It was
Fucking
like
cool, dude.
besides the bottom button, so it wouldn't billow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Oh
was.
yeah.
It was not like.
How many
all
of them
the-
were naked Geralt in a bathtub? How many of them showed up like that?
There was also just a group of like look like 14, 15-year-old boys in like jeans and no shirts on, acting like that's a costume or something. I'm like, okay, tiny children, like you should put clothes on. But yeah, no, none
Did
of
you
none
have
of them-
fun?
Oh, I had a lot of fun. And so I found a new station. It's not video game, but it is games. So I found like a station that I've never seen there before. That had all these like giant wooden puzzles. So some are like one was like a 15-foot tall board, and like you had to use this like pulley system to get a ball and like navigate it around stuff to like get it into something. There was like a giant, like I had to walk upstairs to this like giant Excalibur sword puzzle where I'm like having to rotate it kind of like a key to like try and get it out. And I want a sticker because I figured it out.
They didn't have
There was
stickers
also like
back then.
there's also like giant there's also like the giant like labyrinth game where you have like the two knobs and you have to like do the ball in there. And then there's also like these big wooden like pinball machines, but they're like attack pinball where you're trying to like hit it across from each one.
Okay.
Trying fast and loose with the Renaissance part.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
But all of them were wooden and none of them used technology. There's no electricity on single one of them.
Okay.
They all could have existed in medieval times. They just didn't.
Okay. Shanae, would you ever go to a steampunk convention with
Yes.
umbrellas and balloons and shit?
Yeah, I mean, I used to have a friend that was like part of like a steampunk crew. Well, they called it like an airship, and I
Oh
forgot.
my god.
And so like they had like a whole section at one of the San Antonio
Mhm.
not the San Antonio Comic Con. What's the other anime?
Pan
one?
Japan.
San Japan. So they had like a whole section at San Japan for like all these air crews to like barter and trade and like interact with each other.
Sure.
And so I got invited to, like over there while she was doing that, to like see what it's about.
How big was her top hat and how many goggles?
So it was like two top hats like on top of each other, like two regular sized top hat. So like quite a large top hat.
Yeah.
The goggles,
Telescoping top hats.
yeah, like only one pair of goggles on her. I did see a guy with like 5 goggles on him. He only had 2 eyes, so I don't know what the purpose of those
Sure.
extra goggles were. Maybe they're cheap and keep breaking.
They're spares.
Sure.
You
But
know?
at some point, buy some quality goggles instead of 5 cheap goggles that are obviously going to break.
Yeah. Put
I
some
don't
more
know.
gears on them.
Yeah,
Gears and
I don't-
cogs.
I don't think they're bronze enough to be stable. But I'd go to one. Like they can be fun. They also do some like pretty decent like leather work. Like I have like a really nice journal that I bought from like a steampunk air crew.
Okay.
They had like a leather worker as part of it. So yeah, I'd go.
Okay. I'm trying not to be a hater because I know that people like what they like, but like I'm getting a lot of really funny images in my head. So.
Oh no. I mean, it's ridiculous, and it's essentially LARPing, but
Sure.
without like battling each other. It's just playing make believe, which is fun, but like it is silly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, I'd go to it.
Sure.
But this week though, I didn't just want to talk about how wooden games are technically Renaissance appropriate.
This week we wanted to talk about our favorite wooden game.
our favorite Renaissance games.
But yeah, like so I am on like a couple different like game related subreddits, and one of them is just game collecting, because I think it's like nice to see people be excited about like stuff, or like kind of to see what's in there. And so this week I wanted to talk about physical game collecting.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've talked before, like none of us really do that anymore. A lot of us don't like keep our physical ones. I mean, Ryan has his binders. But it's not like but I mean like physically game collecting with the intention of displaying them.
They're sarcophagi, not binders.
Sorry, sarcophagi. You had the sarcophagi full of games, but you're not doing it to like have them as a display piece or like as like a hobby. This is just games that you've bought to play and then haven't gotten rid of. I'm not saying that obviously all the people on there, but yeah, I just want to talk about that. What was y'all's original thoughts when I suggested the topic?
So like, I still will sometimes look at my Amazon purchase history. About 15 years ago, 16 years ago, I got real deep into collecting NES and SNES cards. And I had a lot of those sons of bitches, man.
Yeah.
And then over time, I'd sell that shit off. You know, I would need money for one thing or another, and I'd sell off the collection. And it's interesting to me now how much of a comeback that stuff has made, because I've got like some pretty valuable purchases from back then for like $5 that are like a couple $100 today. You know,
so you're past Tommy.
I mean, I don't really regret it though, right? Like, I've gotten to the point now where I still collect some things, some physical things, but like only if it's something I'm actually going to use, right? Like, to me, having the video game, I can play the video game, whether I have a hard copy of it or not, most of the time, right? Not always, but most of the time. That's what matters to me. Whereas, like, I collect books and comics because I don't want to read those on a digital screen. I'd rather have them, you know, like practically, it's more important to me. You know, there was a short period of time where I started collecting like McFarlane DC figures, and that ended real quick because I was like, this is just collecting dust. I don't want it, you know. Nothing against anybody who does it. I do think that stuff's super cool. I still like looking at that stuff, but like, it's not for me. Also, like, you know, you brought up like getting stuff graded. Like, that to me is the biggest offense, because like, be it comic or video game, you can then no longer interact with that object. Yeah. It's just like with CGC comics, right? Like, people call it the comic coffin because like that's what it is. You can't read that book anymore.
Yeah.
You know,
if you care about preserving the value. Anyway.
Unless you took pictures of each page.
Right.
You like sent it off to be graded.
Yeah. So like, as far as like, I don't think grading that stuff is cool. I get why collectors do it, but like, at that point you're collecting just to collect, not because you actually want to have any sort of interaction with the object. Yeah. You
know? That's pretty I'm sorry, go ahead, Shanae.
Go ahead.
Well, that's pretty much been me too, right? Is that like, I like having, I'd always, like, even when I was collecting like physical games, I liked having the collection of games just because, like,
yeah,
I loved the games and I like playing the games. Like, and I didn't have them just so I could look at them, but it was fun to like watch my collection grow over time.
Mm-hmm. And you had a big collection of physical games.
Yeah,
you did.
I still have Like my mom just,
Awesome guy.
I just talked to my mom like last week, and she was like, "You still want all these cases?" And I was like, "Yes, I want all the cases. Do not
Yeah.
get rid of the cases." But like, yeah, I mean, I like having the games, and like I like because it's kind of like it's like a little bit of like a it's kind of like a chronicle of like the games that I've played, and that's super cool to like look back on.
Right.
But like the idea, but like you look at like you were saying, Tom, you look at like games that are like games that are being sold, right? And they're like super complete in package, like got the instruction booklet and everything. It's just like, well, I mean, did you play it? You know what I mean? Like,
See, and even that, like, to me, that's cool, right? Like, I've got a box Dr. Mario that I think Sandusky gave me. And, like, I like that because I like seeing the package. I like looking at the booklet, but I'm not going to throw it into a plastic case I can never open.
that's what I'm saying.
You know?
Is like because like that's why I was always like I could never be like a shoe collector or anything like that,
Right.
because like to me shoes are meant to
Well,
be
like, wear
worn,
it.
and
Yeah,
so
like,
like I'm
well,
just gonna wear them, like, you know.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing, same thing for me with games, right? Like I'll hold on to things like as long as I can, like I'll keep it intact as much as I can, like I'll like, you know, I hold on to the cases and I'll keep the booklets as much as I can, but like that case is gonna get opened as frequently as I feel like playing the game.
Right.
also, like, I mean, the water grading system, I think the actual like idea of like the scale makes sense, like doing like up to like 1 to 10 based off like the quality and like how complete and stuff it is.
Sure.
And I like that a person in the industry or like a figure or company, whatever, or group put out like a scale that like to be used as like a large, like, so if you hear it, you're like, oh, well, I know what that means. I know how good that is.
But you
Meanwhile,
don't, though. That's the problem, right? You've seen the same thing. You see the same thing with WADA and with CGC, where people will send their item in to be graded. They'll get it back with a certain grade and send the exact same item in to be graded again and get it back with a different grade, you know?
yeah, that's, and also like I've seen plenty on like the game collecting subreddit where it's like a different game in the sealed case. It'll say like Call of Duty, blah blah blah, worth like $160, and it has like another game in there.
Right.
And that's like where I kind of feel like a lot of that falls apart. I know like a year ago, WADA had a thing with like their auction house and like a bunch of shady behavior with that, since they can set the prices and then also sell them, but they also make commission based off what the game sells.
Yeah.
And they were doing like the bids in there that were like not actual bids just to like raise the price. And so like that's shady and that sucks. But I do think the idea of doing that. Of course, like people like that are gonna be shady are gonna be shady. But I do like the ease of categorization. Like when it comes to like anything, because like Berto was a sneakerhead for a while, and I never heard him talking about any sort of like committee, like talking about how good shoes are.
Right.
Whenever he was like selling or looking to buy shoes, and like showing me what his like holy grail shoes and like how much they sell on different websites. Like I didn't see anything that's like, oh, this is like a 9.8 or like graded A plus plus or anything like that. It's just like barely worn.
Right.
Like, but like, and then like, and so you have the pictures, which of course like are the best way is like that you can when you're not in person to see how good it actually is like pictures of it, assuming that it's the actual thing that they have.
Right.
And so I do think for collecting, like having that is nice. And I've seen where people do feel more comfortable buying these graded cased games. They do eventually they do plan on playing, knowing that knowing air quotations that it'll be that game.
Yeah.
So like as far as like water grading goes, I do think that it's like for me personally, like if I know when we started this podcast, like I was so about physical games, but now like I have mostly digital. Like when
Yeah.
I go look at my physical collection, like I forget what I have all the time.
Same.
So
Sinead, like across the board, most people are mostly digital now, you know?
yeah,
I think last year was the first year. Last year or the year before was the first year where digital sales like far eclipsed physical.
Yeah.
And and that's only going to increase as time goes on. You know, we got PlayStation 5, right? And like, I wanted to have the one with the disc drive. I don't know. I think I've used that disc drive maybe 3 times, you know?
Yeah.
I still like having the option. It's nice that the other day I let Ryan borrow that Ratchet and Clank. It's nice to be able to do that, you know? So I definitely see the benefits of physical, but like also digital, like wastes a lot less, you know?
For sure.
It's just convenient, and I know what's available for me, like right there. Like, there's so many times, like I don't even have that many physical games left, but I'll open like my drawers of them, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, oh yeah, I own this.
Yeah.
Right. Same.
Yeah, but I think that if I were to have a collection of physical ones, not just because like that's normally what I play, but like I think my favorite looking ones are like the Switch and the 3DS ones. I think
I think
aesthetic.
I think they look so bad.
I think aesthetically,
All
because,
red,
yeah, I think aesthetically because like they're more similar than
uniform.
like, they're more uniform than like.
Let me
a
tell you
lot.
something. You would love PAL video games. Because, like, going back to, like, PlayStation 2 and shit, like, all the spines, like, matching and all that, I don't know. I can't do it. It's like, whenever I see, like, a YouTuber with, like, their wall of fucking games behind them, you know? I just think, like, you know, when they've got, like, their 360 discs or their PlayStation 3 discs, and, like, it's just a big variety, and then you just see this one chunk of red, you know? I'm like, I don't know.
I was thinking about, like, you know what, with physical games, like, I was thinking about there was a period of time when Tom and I were living together, and like every week we would go to this local video game store, and because I was like, I got it in me that I'd wanted to buy more 360 games, and this was like 2015, 2016, and like there's something about like going in, like, looking at the games, and then like, yeah, I think I'm gonna buy this one, and like picking out the game, and like walking out with like something about like that. But like, it's like it was like really fun to like just go in, like, I don't know what I'm gonna get, but I'm gonna look at these games and I'm gonna walk out with a bag of games. It was like really fun.
I still do that every time I'm at Target. I still go look at the video games.
But like, here's the thing.
Sometimes I get something, you know.
But here's the thing. For me, like that feeling isn't there if we're talking about like new games, right? Like, when
really?
Like for there was something in it for me about like going back to that library and buying, like, picking out like physical copies of these games that I just never gotten around to, right? And there was something about that for me, especially like when I which is funny because I remember when I thought that I lost my copy of Prey, the original Prey. Like, I had bought this like super collector's edition of Prey back in like 2007, and I was like sure I didn't have it anymore. And so me and Tom were at this video game store, and like I was like, oh shit, Prey, I haven't played that in forever, I'm gonna buy another copy. And then like I'm like looking through all my games, and like Tom is looking through the games I already had there. He's like, didn't you just buy this one today? And I was like, now I have 2 copies of Prey because like,
well, it's because you had that weird, like, not even a steel book. It's like fatter than a steel book.
It's like a big steel,
and
a big hollow.
It opens on both sides, and you didn't realize that the disc side was like, yeah.
But
honestly, that's one of my least favorite things about getting a lot of collector's editions, that like a lot of the cases aren't the same size as the other cases in that system.
Yeah.
PS4 was, for me, was pretty good about like that. Like a lot of the Kingdom Hearts collector's edition was still the same like size as that, because that, I don't know, it just makes it like hard. It just, I obviously like uniformity. I like the organization of it. It gives me like good feelings. It gives me joy. So that's also like, I also find it like easier to like kind of decorate around too, as far as like the way my brain works.
Yeah.
So if I'm gonna do like a physical collection to show off and to like have up and just like, I'm proud of that.
See, so let me see what you guys think about this, because I've thought recently about like starting up a small physical game collection again, but doing like more display oriented things where it's like this shelf is just Ueda games,
right,
and this shelf is just Vanillaware games, and like, you know, like that, like having a nice display for like certain creators or certain developers or whatever. Like, I think that's way more interesting.
I think that'd be cool because it's like it's almost like a little book collection, kind of.
Right.
Like it's like having like a nice little selected works selection, and those.
That's not how the Dewey Decimal System works.
But like, and it's more manageable too, right? Because like, yeah, some of those games in their original form might be a little bit expensive now, but for the studios I'm thinking of, like maybe they've made 6 games ever. You know,
Yeah.
it's not like I'm buying 100 games that are $100 each. You know,
You're not gonna have a Capcom section.
right?
Yeah.
Depends on like how you display them. Like I think as far as like as an organizational thing of being like, oh, like being able to say that or be like, I'm gonna like.
I'm not talking about for organizational. I'm talking about like covers facing forward, like trying to make it look like a display.
Yeah.
For those specific creators.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you were doing like just like spine columns of like different.
No.
I'm just like, oh no, I would not like that.
No.
It's just like ding, 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 ding.
But Vanillaware's made like maybe 5 or 6 games. What if you bought like all of those games and maybe a couple of strategy guides for those games and maybe a statue for one of those
I
games?
feel like that would look
And
pretty.
have them all on the same shelf,
Yeah.
facing forward.
I think that would
It's
look
like
neat.
display nicely. I think that'd be really cool. It's just like if it was like a. Yeah.
I've never been a fan of steelbooks. I just don't like them. There's never been a fan.
I like them except for the fact that they easily scratch and then they look like shit.
Yeah.
So they easily bend for a lot of them too.
I just never been a fan of them. I don't like, and like I feel like I like looking at, like, when it comes to physical games, I like looking at like the box art. Like the box art, especially when it's like a franchise where like the colors are like really vibrant, and it's just I don't know, just like I get this good feeling when I look at that stuff.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Shanae.
I also don't like it when the steel case doesn't have the name of the game on the spine.
Yeah.
Like that is really annoying, and not all of them do that, and I cannot fathom why a lot of them don't. Like there's some that I've seen that don't have it, that have like a picture that starts from the front and goes to the back, and so
Yeah.
it's like along the spine as well, and that makes more sense to me about why it's not there, but also I still wish it was.
The last steelbook I got was for Yakuza Kiwami, and I didn't even know I was buying a steelbook at the time. I just thought I was
Like
buying.
the last one I got was fucking Dragon's Crown.
Yeah, I was just buying Yakuza Kiwami, and then a steelbook showed up, and I was like, I didn't realize that I had bought that, but okay.
Yeah.
I have a couple steel cases for some of the collector's editions on 3DS games, and it's really annoying that they're so much larger than the regular 3DS cases.
Yeah.
It's like half an inch larger, and I'm just like,
you know what? I'm thinking about, like, if you were somebody who was collecting PS1 games from beginning to end, and some of them are the big cases, and some of them are the little jewel cases.
Not to mention, there's like 3-4 different kinds of the tall boxes, of the long boxes,
Yeah.
And then some of the jewel cases that had the multiple discs are big fat boys.
Yeah, big old fat boys.
Fat bottom cases? No, that doesn't work. No, I'm sorry.
But I guess like one of the things about having these physical games that I have is that, like, I don't know when I'm gonna get to them, right? Like, I don't know, like, most of these games I haven't played in years, right? I think the last time I played one of the games in one of those cases was I broke out Dante's Inferno one time when I still had an Xbox One. So I was like, oh shit, I can play Dante's Inferno on this bitch, and then I played Dante's Inferno for like 5 hours, and then I went back into the case, you know.
You have to play Patra, and then you're like, I'm done. I did what I came here to do.
Yeah.
So, like, some of my favorite things that I've seen in other people's collections, and even in mine, I like when you collect things that like are games related, but maybe not the games themselves. So, like, for years now, I've been collecting a lot of the boss fight books. I love those books, but they're just fucking books, you know. But like, I saw a video recently. Kelsey Lewin, who we've talked about on this show before, is doing a show currently for MinMax about game collecting, and she had this guy on there who's like all about Xbox, like OG Xbox, you know.
Nelson?
And like a lot of these guys are living in Washington.
Right.
So a lot of that stuff that was like in those studios shows up for resale there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So this guy's got like a collection of, you know, the jewel on top of the original Xbox?
Yes, that
the circle.
Yeah.
He's got a collection of prototypes of those jewels, you know? like different ones that they thought about going with, like shit like that, you know.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting from like just cataloging and preserving stuff like that. I also think that's where like game collecting can sometimes be detrimental to the preservation of the games industry, right? Like because like if somebody collects a lot of that developer stuff, uh, if they have like an early build of a game, oftentimes they won't release that build because it devalues the game that they have. It devalues the product that they have. So they just hold on to it for themselves until they eventually fucking die, you know? And like,
And then their
I think that's pretty lame.
relative doesn't know what the fuck they have, and just
Yeah. So if you're that kind of collector, like, fuck you, you know? But like, I don't know. I do think like collecting has done a lot for preservation, though, right? Like the Games History Foundation, which she runs, like they had this program where you could subscribe, like you were subscribing to a magazine, and they would just send you a random retro magazine, retro game magazine every month. And what that was is it wasn't like they were collecting the magazines so they could archive them and keep them, right? But it was just all of their doubles.
Yeah.
So like whatever doubles they had, they were just sending out to make more money for their foundation, you know?
Yeah.
I think that stuff's really cool. But
That is cool.
but I've also seen some like lame sides of it, like people like all the branded like Sony hoodies or like things like that. That I'm just like, I don't necessarily see like There's just some things I don't really get like the value of collecting.
I mean, I'm wearing a Nintendo hat and a Nintendo shirt right now. I wouldn't say that I collect these things, but you know,
But I mean, like, are you like?
I have them.
Yeah, but I'm saying like these people who are collecting them.
Yeah.
Like I bet like don't necessarily like wear them. Like I've seen like other like kind of like certain branded stuff that I'm just like, yeah, I guess.
I think I think it's interesting to hold on to that stuff though, because like I've got a buddy who's got like an old ass Dreamcast shirt. I remember Ryan had a long. I don't know if you still have it, but you have like a PSP shirt, you know. And I was like, I thought it was fucking sweet.
I did have. I think I still had a PSP shirt. I can't wear it anymore, but I still
like,
have it.
Is a PlayStation 5 shirt going to be really cool today? No, but maybe in 10 years it might be. I don't know.
I have a Nokia Engage T-shirt.
Yeah.
And because the thing about Nokia, the funny thing about all of Nokia's merchandise is it was heavily reliant on innuendo, and so it was like it always came off as kind of cringe. Like the shirt says, I think it says something about like, how about a threesome in the back of a cab, and it's just like, oh, it's just like three people with engages playing in the back of a cab, but you know, there's the other thing too. It go both ways. Very whack.
I had the Catherine boxers for a little while. I never wore them, but I had that pizza box.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I like cool little like one-off things, right? Like I got Kaylee this Bug Snacks blanket a couple of years ago. And it wasn't even. I'm very certain it wasn't official merchandise, but it looked nice enough, and she seems to enjoy it. So. Which is a lot of the video game stuff, like specifically clothing items that I buy, they're not official. It's just somebody else like making a design and then selling it. Which, you know,
exist.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
see, it's funny for me is like I feel like a third of my wardrobe now is these Nintendo T-shirts from the Nintendo store in New York. You know. And it's not because I'm like I like Nintendo, don't get me wrong, but I'm not like Nintendo fan number one. But fuck, these are like the most comfortable T-shirts I've ever worn.
Yeah,
are these Nintendo shirts from that store?
Doing it right,
you know. Like just super comfortable T-shirts.
Yeah.
But I don't really collect much of anything now. Like outside of comic books, video game wise, I don't collect much of anything. Like I've got like. This little Mario pipe, but this is just something my niece 3D printed for me, you know? Like that's the only reason it's here.
I used to collect like the Legend of Zelda consoles, and I did that for a while, and I still own a lot of them. They're just like packed up because I don't really have like I mean,
Yeah.
if you look at the shelf behind me, there's a lot of things that are like just thrown on there because I
Yeah.
don't have any other shelving, and I just need to buy more, and eventually will display them. And those are cool, but like, I also do know that some of those systems, like, I am pretty sure don't work.
Okay.
And like, because like they've just been boxes for years. I need to like test them, clean them out. Like,
I've got like the
maybe
R2 360, but like I use that thing, you know?
I also own
Uh,
that, and when I was like getting a little hard up for money, I thought about selling it.
yeah.
But I'm just like, even if I don't use it, I'm just like, I'm happy that I own that, and
Yeah.
I like, and anytime I've had to turn it on for any reason, it still makes me happy that I hear that little
It's-
R2D2
right.
noise.
It's fun.
And I
I
have,
bought Bailey the little Zelda Game and Watch, you know, but like not because she can sit it on a shelf for all time, like so she could play those games, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like I think about. It's funny because I think about like every time one of those consoles comes out that is like themed around a specific game, and most of the time to me they look very hideous, and I'm just like, and especially like if I were I don't think that I'm
I
that
think in
person.
recent years,
Yeah.
I think they look bad. Older ones I think look quite good.
I
I
don't
mean,
think
a lot of the Legend of Zelda ones were really cool. Like it just had
Yeah.
like kind of like markings
Yep.
around, and then like the symbol.
yeah,
Yep.
I don't think I'm the kind of person who would care specifically how a piece of electronics, like whether or not it clashed with anything else in the room. But I do think that like a lot of the time they would like stand out to the point of being like kind of an eyesore to me.
Yeah.
Um
Well, like that Spider-Man PS4, I think it does not look great, you know.
Yeah.
But like and most of the special edition Switches, I think, don't look good. That Animal Crossing one looks good,
The Animal Crossing
but
one is
like,
good. But a lot of the Switch skins also don't look good. I was looking at some Fire Emblem skins.
I'm not even talking about skins. I'm just talking about like when they
I
have the
know,
custom
yeah.
dock and the custom Joy-Con.
That's what I'm
I think
saying.
most of those look like shit. But
Agreed. But also a lot of the skins that are like branded also look
Yeah.
like shit. Like it's not even
Yeah.
like you can like put a skin on like your boring one and make it look a whole lot nicer.
right,
I mean, I think yet again a lot of the Legend of Zelda skins I've seen for it actually look good.
I remember my niece got the first Pokemon one for the Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. Like that's the Switch that she got at first,
mhm.
and it's like black Switch with one yellow controller and one brown controller. Like what the fuck, man?
Brown.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I've been like
its little stripes are brown.
like ever since I started collecting records, I start seeing a lot, like I, you know, pretty frequently either see it myself or someone clues me in about like a record that's the soundtrack of different games that I may or may not like. And a lot of the time, like it has to be like I think about how like it would be really easy to fall into the trap of like having it to have it, you know, but like a lot of the time I'm just like I kind of really need to like want to actually listen to this music. Like because like I think the one time I did it where like it wasn't music that I was into was when I bought the Doom soundtrack. And I just because I thought it looked fucking cool because it had blood and pentagrams all over it. But like other than that, like a lot.
Well, so
What's
it's
that?
a nice thing. But you also love Doom, so
Yeah,
like,
and it's I mean it's fucking badass, so I love it, you know. But like there are times where like people will be like, will send me a link to uh like a soundtrack on vinyl that like of a game that I like, and there's many times where I'm like, I like that game a lot, but like I don't like the music enough to like buy a record of it, you know.
Right.
But so I you know there are ones that like I get really excited when they come out, and like I get really excited to collect them. Like the most recent one I finally was able to like get a pre-order in for another pressing of the Hotline Miami 1 and 2 soundtrack that I've been trying to get for years. So that was really exciting for me, you know. So I like getting stuff like that. That's like probably the most exciting like non-video game related.
Well, what's funny too is like with a lot of the vinyl stuff that's become bigger over the past few years, like I might like that soundtrack
Yeah.
in the context of playing that video game, but it's not something I want to listen to outside of the video game, right? I constantly. I mean, I have listened to that soundtrack, but I know it's not for everybody. But like I'm talking more specifically, like I've seen the Castlevania Symphony of the Night soundtrack several times, and I love it. I think it fits that game so well. But I'm not going to drive around in my car listening to it. You know what I mean?
What's the funny thing about it is that Jimmy, our friend Jimmy, bought me that on vinyl.
Yeah.
And I sat there and listened to it. And I was like, out of the context of like playing it, like out of the context of hearing this in a video game, this is very disorienting because like that soundtrack is all over the place.
Yes.
You don't want to
And there are other soundtracks that I do listen to on a regular basis, you know, but and that's definitely got to be a weird one. I don't even
listen to the soundtrack when I play the game. I'm sure it's fucking not buying those. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've definitely listened to the Kingdom Hearts songs, but I don't.
I mean, there are some bangers in there for sure.
I can never say her name correctly, so I'm not going to embarrass myself. But yeah, no, the "If You Walk Away" song. Yeah, no, still.
I thought you said you weren't going to embarrass yourself.
Oh no. I'm fine embarrassing myself in that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. I think but I do like that some are on vinyl. I think that's a really nice. Like Berto also collects certain vinyls. He has far less than Ryan does, but we even bought like really nice shelving to display them all. But I think vinyl is like a really nice, tangible, collectible.
Yeah, it's fun to look at, especially like because I got the Katana Zero one, and I would have gotten that if like Tom didn't introduce me to that game. Well, like the way like he was like, Ryan, you should play this. You would like it. And I'm like, man, this game's fucking dope, and this music's dope too. And then I got the record, and I was like, oh man, the artwork is fucking dope. This is like, it's one of those times where the aesthetic of everything involved with that game just coalesces in a way that like makes you gets you really, really like excited about like thinking about that thing. And I feel like Katana Zero was like one of those times where like having the record and like looking at it, listening to music, I'm like, I'm gonna go boot that game up real quick.
That's a fantastic game.
Yeah. Yes.
Did y'all have any closing thoughts about physical game collecting or anything we haven't touched upon that you wanted to talk about?
One of these days we need to like go and film James Sandusky's collection.
Oh yeah.
And just have an episode about that, you know.
That guy's got a whole dungeon of games.
What? What, Jimmy?
No, we're gonna be in his house with him.
It sounds like we're just gonna break into his house and film the collection.
He wouldn't mind. Though. He wouldn't mind.
We're gonna do that.
So he wouldn't mind.
Yeah, I visit with him every now and then, and he shows me photos of his collection, and there's some really cool stuff in there, both video games and toys. You know.
Yeah.
And
I don't know why, but
I think about like had I never sold anything, I might have amassed something similar to what he has now, you know. But yeah, man, I have trouble holding on to things like that, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I always imagine his collection like a wizard tower where you're just going up a spiral staircase and all the walls are just full of games and different collectibles.
That's pretty much what it is. It's like a wizard tower with Transformers and NES carts.
If like a wizard tower was inside of a Cracker Barrel.
But he has like one of those like library tall ladders that are on like the wheels and the track that goes around in the circle.
You know what's funny is that like I don't have any specific like affection or fondness for the Virtual Boy, but when he brought that over to Tommy's house at one time, like it was kind of like, holy shit, I haven't seen one of these in like 20 years. And it was,
I think like that thing is better than people gave it credit for.
I mean, I'm pretty much ambivalent to it, but it was neat because like the last time I had seen it before that point, I was like 9 or 10 years old.
Yeah,
and it was like, it was both exactly what I remembered and different at the same time. But it's cool because he just has all sorts of shit like that.
I'm waiting for him to get a Vectrex. That's like one thing I might buy. Like if I saw that in the wild for a decent price, I might buy a Vectrex. that would hardly ever get used, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, but that's our show. If you want to listen to us on something that you're not listening to us on currently, we're on most podcast apps like iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify. We also are on the YouTubes if you want to see our beautiful faces. Our Discord, it will be linked somewhere. And bye, guys.
Bye.